Welcome everyone to the APH Virtual Excel Camp for Upper Elementary. This week is Serious About Science, Animal Adaptations. We are so glad to have you with us today. You can feel free to write in the chat who you are and where you're from. We love having you join us today. As everybody comes in and joins us, I'm going to let you know you are at the American Printing House for the Blind Virtual Excel Camp for Upper Elementary. It is Serious About Science this week and Animal Adaptations. Glad to see everyone joining us today. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Audrey. Glad you're with us. Hi, Hannah and Emma. Glad you are with us. Hello, Nadia. Welcome, welcome to the Virtual Excel Camp for Upper Elementary. Hi, Finn. Glad you joined us. Hi, Simone. We are going to have lots of fun today with animal adaptations, and I am going to introduce you to your instructors for camp this week. This week you have Cheryl Hannan. She is a professor from California State, LA. Hi, Cheryl. Say hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to join you.
And Johna Bogue. She's a lower school science teacher at the Pegasus School in California. Say hi, Johna.
Hi, friends. I'm so glad to be with you today.
And also Parissa Lamarra, a teacher of the visually impaired at Whittier Unified School District in California. Hi, Parissa.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be here.
And we have a student intern with us today, Susan Drake. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. So glad to be here today.
Now, we had some special requests from people asking them if they happen to do the extension activity and make an eyeball. And guess what? Some of you not only made your eyeball, but you sent me a photo. And so we are going to share the photos that we got. Finn made a really cool eyeball with green, it looks like, as the pupil. And, oh, I'm drawing a blank on name again. You're going to type it in the email, in the chat though, and I'll be able to remember to say your name. This eyeball has a bright red M&M in the center. I wonder what that center thing is called. I bet we're going to remember today. And I remember this is Hannah. Hannah made us a really, really cool eyeball. Very, very cool. And I think all of you might have enjoyed eating these eyeballs. Now, if you did not send me a photo or have not made your eyeball yet, you can feel free to do so anytime this week, and we will share those eyeballs or any other project you make. I have one other person who sent me one, but I didn't have permission to share their picture yet. But as soon as I hear, we will share away. Now I'm going to say, take it away, instructors. The campers are all yours.
Guys, it's Susie, and we are going to start today with a little review. We're going to have a lightning round, and I want to see how many parts of the eye that you can tell me as fast as you can in the chat. Just start typing away. How many do you know? Let's see. I know. Oh, there's the pupil. Yep, the pupil is very important. The cones, the iris, cornea, retina. Oh my goodness, you guys are so smart. You're naming them faster than I can even think them. The sclera, the optic disc. Well, how about the optic nerve? Yep, got that. Oh my goodness. Another cornea. Sclera. Yep. Oh my goodness. Gotta have that lens. You guys are so smart. Oh my goodness. Okay. You know what? You guys have hit almost all of the parts of the eye. And in order to make sure that we remember all the parts of the eye and what they do, Cheryl and Amaya are going to sing a song to help us remember that, okay? Because you guys are blowing me away with this lightning round, and I just can't believe it. So Cheryl, you want to help me out with that?
Okay, so I have my friend with me here. This is Amaya, and she's going to help sing while we help review the different parts of the eye. And this is a participation song. So if you know the song, if you're happy and you know it, put a Y in the chat window. The song, if you're happy and you know it. Have you heard it before? Put a Y in the chat window. Oh, good. I'm so glad so many of you know this song. So when you sing, if you're happy and you know it, the last line of the first line, you're going to repeat. So it goes like this. If you're happy and you know it, blink your eyes. And you all are going to repeat, blink your eyes. So it's going to get a little bit noisy here because I'm going to ask some of our friends in our participants window here to unmute their microphone, all of our instructors, so that they can participate. And hopefully we'll reach some of the feedback. But let's see if we can get this to work. You all at home are also going to repeat, blink your eyes. This song has 6 verses, and each verse will have you repeat a different line. Let's see if you can catch the pattern. Are you ready? Here we go. You ready, friend? Okay. 1, 2, 3. If you're happy and you know it, blink your eyes.
Blink your eyes.
Nice.
You're happy and you know it, blink your eyes.
Blink your eyes.
We blink our eyes with eyelids which keep out the grime and dirt, and the tears wash away the rids. From the light goes through the cornea. The light goes through the cornea.
Cornea.
First the light goes through the cornea.
Cornea.
Then past the colored iris and through the big black hole. We call that big black hole the pupil. The pupil changes size. Changes size. The pupil changes size.
Changes size.
It grows to add more light or shrinks to let in less. We call that big black hole the pupil. Okay, the next one is crystal lens. Let's see if we can get all instructors to pay attention and get that on this one.
Mina, I need you to mute your mic. The feedback means we are not hearing anything. Thanks.
Crystal lens, everyone. Then the light goes through the crystal lens.
Crystal
The
lens.
lens.
And the light goes through the crystal lens.
Crystal lens.
The lens accommodates ciliary muscles change their shape. Presbyopia is common, grandma hates. Light goes through the lens into the retina.
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 Light goes through the lens into the retina.
Retina.
Light hits the cones for color and the rods to see at night. Without the lens to focus, we will see a blur. Last verse, everyone. This is optic nerve. From the retina to the brain, we use our optic nerve.
Optic nerve.
Head. From the retina to the brain, we use our optic nerve.
Optic nerve.
Optic nerve.
From the retina to the brain, we all process what we see. And you and I may see it as the same. Thank you, friends. Good job.
Excellent. You know what, guys? I think that was so much fun, Cheryl, and thank you for putting that together for us. That will help us remember all of the parts of our eye and how they work. And now that we know that, hey, I have some questions for you. Since Cheryl did such a great job putting that together and telling us all of it, can you tell me in the chat which part of your eye is responsible for controlling the amount of light that comes into your eye? What part? Tell me in the chat. You're right. It is the pupil. In this song, it told us that the pupil gets bigger and smaller depending on how much light is entering the eye. What part of the eye is responsible for sending messages to your brain? What does the heavy lifting? Oh my goodness, lots of optic nerves. That is excellent. Yes, you guys are so right. in our experiment that we had today, we learned that the optic nerve is the pathway to the brain. It's the highway that all of the messages travel on. And Parissa told us that in our video. And if you didn't know that, you will find that out later in our extension activity. So I can't wait for you guys to do that and build your eye, because it is fantastic. Now, here's a tricky one. Which part of your eye is responsible for seeing colors? Which one sees colors? Can you tell me? Well, Kenji, that's a good guess. So your cones and your rods work together, but the cones are actually the part that sees the colors. So isn't that crazy? Yeah, Audrey, you're right. It had me kind of fingering my chin too. But yeah, it's your cones. They see the colors. So that's kind of interesting to me. Okay, guys, get ready. It's our last question. Last question. Which part of your eye, and I don't think anybody has said this, which part of your eye is the biggest part? We have not talked about this one yet, so it might be a little tricky. Yeah, your eyeball is the biggest part, but which structure is the biggest part of your eyeball? And I think if you've done the extension activity, you might have a little bit of an idea. So your vitreous body, which is kind of the inside of your eyeball, actually makes up the most of your eyeball. Did you know that? Is that kind of cool? And it's all this fluid that's on the inside of your eye. Yeah, the what? I know. See, I didn't know all this stuff until I started working with Parissa and Cheryl and Johna. They taught me all that stuff too. Isn't that great? And they have way more to teach us today. And I am so excited to see what else they have to teach us.
So friends, we are going to look at animal eyes, because animals see a little bit different than people do. And we're going to talk about their superpowers and also their super senses that go with their amazing abilities. So let's take a look at some of these animals. And
Cheryl, are you supposed to be sharing your PowerPoint right now?
And you, yes, thank you.
We're not seeing anything and haven't the whole time.
Okay, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, that's like cats seeing in the dark. So animals have all kinds of different ways that they use their eyes. And so that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. And now you're going to be seeing something on your screen that is going to help us talk about that.
Okay. It's taking me a second to.
So this is Parissa, and today I'm going to be talking about 3 different animals. But before we talk about their extraordinary senses, we're going to listen to the sounds that they make. And we're going to listen to one animal sound at a time. And after we listen to the sound, I want you guys to type in the chat window what animal you think it is.
Okay.
So we're going to listen to our first animal.
Okay, here's the first one.
Okay, let's see. We've got snake. Israel says snake. Audrey says snake. Nadia says elephant. Okay, Finn says snake. So it seems like snake or bat. Very good guesses. But unfortunately, cheetah. Oh, that's a good one. Unfortunately, it's actually none of those things. And on the next slide, we're going to see what it is. And if you guessed mole, then you're right. Now, what is a mole? Okay, so on the screen, there's 2 images that I chose to represent the mole. And the top image is of a mole sticking out of a human's hand. So I chose this because I wanted you guys to understand how small these creatures are. They're mammals that fit into the into your hands, into an adult hand. And I actually thought the mole was kind of cute in this picture. He is a little round-bodied animal. He's furry, he's covered in brown fur, and it looks like he doesn't have any eyeballs, but he does, but you can't really see them. And he's got an elongated snout that's pink, and it kind of looks like a pig snout. And he looks like he's laughing in this top picture, so I hope he's happy. Now, in the top picture and in the bottom picture, you can see the mole's hands. And the mole's hands are big for its size, and they stick out. He's got two, one on each side of its body, and it kind of looks like they stick right out of his shoulders. And at the end of each hand, there's 5 fingers, and at the end of each finger, there's 5 really long nails, and they're thick and long and strong looking. And in the bottom image, it's a mole sticking its head out of the ground, out of the hole that it made. And again, you can see his very, very strong hands, his brown fur, and his pink snout, okay? So moles are insectivores, which means that they're carnivores, so they will take a bite out of your finger if you try to pick one up, so I wouldn't recommend it. And they also will eat each other if given the chance, because they're loners and they don't like to come across their own kind, but they love insects the best. And their favorite insect to eat is the earthworm, okay? So they dig and they live in tunnels under the ground, and they dig their way around, and they make themselves little freeways down there, and they make themselves little rooms, and one of their rooms is a kitchen. And since they like to eat earthworms, they want to save them up for a snack for later. So I want you guys to think about like midday when you get hungry, or in the afternoon after lunch when you get hungry and you go to the pantry or you go to the refrigerator and you're looking for something to eat. Well, the mole has that under the ground. Now, it doesn't have a pantry or a refrigerator, but it does have a little kitchen filled with earthworms. And so what it does is it finds worms, it takes a bite out of their head, and it paralyzes them, and it keeps them in the kitchen for later for a snack. All right? So now, let's talk about their senses. I want you guys to do something for me. I want you to put your hands down at your sides. All right, and then I want you to type in the chat window if your hands face towards your body, if your palms face towards your body, or if they face out. Let's see what you guys say. Do they face towards your body or do they face out? They face out. Okay, they face in. All right, Princess Eleanor, I love that name, says they faces in. Yes, your palms face in towards your body. Well, if you're a mole, they permanently face out. And that's so the mole can dig. It's more efficient at digging because that's what they're great at doing. So they have a great sense of touch, and they're able to dig their way through the ground. And now let me ask you one more question, and I want you guys to type this into the chat. Do you think that they can see well? Now let's think about this. They live under the ground where it's dark. Do you think that they can see well? Okay, Nadia says no. Daniel says no. Cameron says no. Excellent. They cannot see well because they don't need to. Because under the ground, it's dark. So moles are colorblind, meaning that they can't see any colors, and they can see light. So when they stick their head up out of the ground, they can see that it's light outside, and they might be able to see some forms, but that's about it. Under the ground, they use their hands, they use their noses, they have a super strong sense of smell, and they're stinky animals. They use their urine and they use their feces to mark their territory and to smell each other out. So they use their noses and their ears, so they hear vibrations under the ground to be able to get around. So moles are amazing. Cheryl, can we move on to the next slide, please? I know, ew, Daniel, you're right. They are pretty stinky. Okay, so I had to include this slide and this animal because it might be the coolest animal I've ever seen. There's an image on this screen, and it's of what's called a star-nosed mole, okay? So this mole looks just like the other mole that we talked about. It's got a little body, it's small, it's brown furred, it's got the hands that stick straight out, the long nails, but out of its face, instead of a long snout, it has what looks like it's a pink fleshy star, all right? So this pink fleshy star is about the size of your fingertip. So everyone feel their fingertip. See how small that is. Now, it uses this pink fleshy star to do amazing things. It's like its hands. So it almost sees with it like you do with your hands. So it can feel different things. It can smell. It has a higher sense of sensation than your hands do. And it's only the size of a fingertip. This star-nosed mole is so cool that it can smell under the water. So under the water, it can blow out an air bubble and suck it back in, and that's how it smells. And I think one of the coolest things about this, I want you guys to think about when you get something new to eat, all right? How long does it take you to figure out what you're eating? Do you smell it? Do you maybe take a bite out of it? Do you think about it for a minute? Well, the star-nosed mole is able to figure out what something is and eat it before you can say boo. That's how fast it can use its senses to find food and to eat them. All right, Cheryl, back to you.
Okay, the next animal we're going to look at has an eyeball that looks like this. If you can imagine the surface of your skin and a little bump that sticks out of the skin, almost like a mosquito bite or a pimple. It's raised out of the skin. And the eyeball has two parts to it. The top part has a mushroom-shaped pupil and a thick cornea that keeps it from drying out and also protects it from UV damage. The top part of the eyeball sits above water, and the bottom part of the eyeball sits below the water. Now, if you can imagine looking through water, when you look through water, light changes. So the bottom has to have a different adaptation. The bottom part of the eyeball has a round pupil and a thin cornea that it's less curved, and it allows light to focus on the lens differently than the sharp curved upper part of the eye. So this animal's eyeball, that half of it sits above the water and the other half sits below the water. What's cool about it is this animal can see two different images and understand what he's seeing at the same time. The top part sees the predators on the outside of the water in the air, and the bottom part sees the food in the water. And so that's what's cool about this eyeball. Anyone want to give a guess what kind of animal this is?
Cheryl, it's Susie, and we've had several guesses coming in, from crocodiles to frogs to lizards. Lots of people are guessing frogs, sharks, lots of underwater animals. So they're doing great.
You guys have some great guesses. I see fish in there. If you said fish, you're on the right track. This is an anableps. He has two eyeballs, just like we do. Each of those eyeballs have two pupils and two corneas. And the animal has one lens per eye, and it's pear-shaped. The pear-shaped part of the eye, again, lets the light focus on the retina differently depending on whether the image is coming through the top part or the bottom part of the eye. He is also known as a four-eyed fish. He lives in South America. He spends most of his time at the water surface. They live in groups of 6 or more, and their babies are called fry. Usually, they eat smaller fish, algae, and other invertebrates. He's kind of funny looking. Yeah, he's kind of cute. Four-eyed fish. Yep, what a cool name. And he actually only has 2 eyes, even though he's called a four-eyed fish, but it's nonetheless has the coolest eyes. All right, let's take a, let's see if we can listen to another sound. All right, Carissa, your turn.
Thank you, Cheryl. Let's see if we can guess what that animal is. All right, so Isaiah guessed donkey. That's a good one. Daniel guessed pig. It does kind of sound like a pig. Bear, hippo. Okay, close. Donkey, pig, donkey, bee. Okay, hog, frog. Okay. Now, Cheryl, I need to see the PowerPoint, please.
Sorry, I'm trying.
Donkey, cow, tiger, elephant. These are some great guesses, you guys. So for those of you who were thinking rhino or rhinoceros, it does sound like a bull, Maya, you're right. You were right. So this animal actually is a rhinoceros. So on this slide, there's two images of a rhino. The top image is of a rhinoceros, and you can see its whole body. And it is giant. It is the second largest land animal, second to the elephant. It's gray in color, and it weighs about the same as a car. He is huge. And he's got 4 little legs. Well, they're not small, but in comparison to its body. Kind of reminds me of a corgi. And he's got a long face, and he's got 2 ears that are cup-shaped, and they're at the very top of its head. And on its face, he's got 2 horns. He's got horns sticking out of its forehead. So there's 1 small horn, and underneath that, there's a bigger horn. He's got 2 big nostrils at the end of his nose, and he's got 2 eyes, 1 on either side of its head. Okay, and then on the bottom, there's another image, and it's a profile shot, which means it's a sideways shot of the rhino's face. And again, you can see its horns. And there's something a little bit different about this picture than the top picture. The top picture, he's gray. And in the bottom picture, it almost looks like it's brown. Can anyone guess why the coloring is different? I'm gonna give you guys a second to type some guesses into the window. Let's see if anyone can guess. Someone says that eye looks messed up. Mud, okay, excellent. Someone said mud and dirt, good. All right, so rhinos live in really hot places. And think about when you're out in the sun and your family member, your mom chases you down and gives you some sunscreen. Well, rhinos don't do that, but what they do is they roll around in the mud and they cover themselves, and that's like their natural sunscreen. No, it's not poop, it's mud. And so someone put poop in the chat window. So on the bottom image, that rhino has rolled around in the mud and is protecting itself from the sun. So now rhinos have excellent hearing. They've got their ears up on top of their heads, and their ears are cup-shaped. Okay, so I want you guys to imagine having cups for ears and having them at the top of your head instead of on the sides. And then the other cool thing is that the ears rotate, so they turn all around. So the rhino is able to hear the sounds coming from all directions. All right, they've got an excellent sense of smell. So like the mole, they're kind of smelly creatures, and they use their sense of smell to keep track of each other and to keep track of their young. So rhinos use their hearing and their incredible sense of smell to find their babies, to find other rhinos, and to be able to detect if something is dangerous or not. Their part of their brain that processes the smell is the largest part of their brain. So that's actually their strongest sense. So I want you guys to imagine having smell as your strongest sense. All right? So now, here's the thing with rhinos. They are colorblind, which means they can't see color, and they have pretty weak acuity, which means they can only see about 15 feet away. All right, so if you're further than 15 feet, they really can't see you. And they're very, very aggressive, which means they're tough. And if they smell or hear something that they think is dangerous, they will charge blindly. So you better get out of the way. All right. So they've got very small eyes because they really don't use their eyes as much as they use their sense of smell and their sense of hearing. Now, I want you guys to think about when you can't see something, you kind of squint your eye to try to see it better. There's one scientist who believes that rhinos can actually squint to see things a little bit better in the distance. But again, remember, they focus on their hearing and their sense of smell to learn about their world. Okay, Cheryl, back to you.
Okay, so here's another picture. Who do you think has eyeballs that look like these? And in this photo, I love this color. This creature has eyeballs that are sort of an iridescent, metallic, shiny turquoise color. But the round part that protrudes out of his head has lots of little black and white polka dots on them. They look like tiny little polka dots in the shape of a grid. And they're actually lenses. This animal has 30,000 lenses in each of his 2 eyes. And he also has 5 eyeballs. 2 of their eyeballs have tons of lenses, and the other eyeballs just have 1 simple lens. But he's kind of cute. He has a white chin and a mouth, and his chin has little tiny hairs that poke out of him that kind of make him look a little porcupine-ish, with little black hairs that stick out of his chin. And what looks like a little black nose is actually his other eyes. So a lot of people are guessing he looks like he has a beard and that he might be a fly. It could be maybe a monkey. He's not so cute if he steals your food. And one person, who is that? Isaiah, you said dragonfly. Princess Eleanor, dragonfly. You are correct. This is a dragonfly. And what's cool about the dragonfly is that his retina has thousands of photoreceptors. So he can see colors that we cannot see in our color spectrum. Each of these lenses point in a different direction, which means that they also have their own picture. They're extremely sensitive to motion, which allows him to hunt flying insects and actually capture flying insects while he's also flying. His eyes wrap all the way around his head, and it gives him a panoramic view. That means he can see in front of him, up above him, on the sides of him, and almost to the back of his head without even having to turn his neck. His eyeballs are shaped that way so he can see all around, up, down, and to the right and to the left. His eyes also, because he has so many photoreceptors, can see ultraviolet light. That's light in a color spectrum that our eyes are not even able to see. And that also helps him catch other flying insects. And then he can see in different directions at the same time. So he's got some really cool super animal powers, super animal eyesight. Let's listen to the next animal, and Paris is going to tell you about this guy. Let's see if you can guess what he is.
Can you play it one more time, Cheryl?
It's still playing. Are you not able to hear it?
No.
Now we can. Oh. I
Someone
don't
wrote.
think you're sharing your computer sound, and so your computer microphone doesn't want to hear it.
We've got parrot, mouse, squirrel, bird, vampire, a bat. Who said a bat? A bird. We've got bat from several people. Mouse, chipmunk. Someone said Gru's ultimate minion, which was pretty cute. Well, for those of you who guessed bat, and I see a lot of bats, you were correct. Let's learn about the bat. Okay, so on this slide, there's 2 images. The top image is a bat in flight, and it's brown, and it has its wings spread out wide. And in the bottom image, there's a bat that's just laying there, and it's got 2 big ears that stick up out of its head. It looks like it doesn't have any eyeballs, and its mouth is open in either a yawn or a scream. And it looks like it has some sharp teeth in there. So that is a picture of a bat. Now, there are over 900 different kinds of bats. Bats are very, very numerous, okay? But you can put them into 2 major categories. There's the tiny bats, called the microbats, and then there's the giant bats, called the megabats, or the flying foxes. So the tiny bats, the microbats, the smallest one is called the bumblebee, and it is the size of a jelly bean. Think about a jelly bean. And it weighs the same as a penny. So it's a tiny little cute bat. Okay, that's a micro bumblebee bat. The big giant one is a flying fox. And when its wings are open, it's the size of a fully grown man. It is 6 feet. So it's huge. Imagine that coming at you at night. Be a little bit scary. Okay, so they live everywhere, but except for in really cold regions, and they see with their ears. They use echolocation. I want you guys to write in the chat, how many of you can put a Y for yes, how many of you have heard of the word echolocation? Let's see. You've got a lot of yeses. Israel, Luke, yes. Daniel, good. Hannah, yes. Okay, great. So you guys know what echolocation is. Sometimes people who are blind use echolocation, and they make clicking sounds with their mouth, and they send sound out and hear it as it comes back, and that tells them where things are. Bats are the same way. But bats can use their echolocation way more efficiently and more quickly than humans can. Okay, oh, someone said I did that. Awesome. So I want you guys to think about echolocation like turning on the lights. All right, so you're in a completely dark room and you turn on the lights, and then you turn them off again. And for that split second, you can see what's in front of you. So that's kind of how bats see with their ears. They send out sounds, like 15 to 20 sounds a second. So during those 15 to 20 sounds that they send, they can see. Now, when they get close to something that they want to eat, and they're insectivores like the moles, they like insects, but they're carnivores too. And the vampire bat likes blood. But when they get close to something that they can eat, then they do it way more quickly. So they use echolocation up to 200 times per second to have the lights on so they can see exactly where their prey is so they can eat it. And that's how fast they move, okay? Now, when they're flying and they find something that they want to eat, they swoop in, they eat it, and now their mouth is full. So you know what they do? They echolocate with their noses. How cool is that? Try doing that. So they have the best hearing of all land mammals, and they use a little bit of sight. They do have a little bit of sight and smell to distinguish food, but their hearing is their best sense. Back to you, Cheryl.
Cheryl, you're on mute.
Thank you. Okay, who do you think has an eyeball that looks like this? And on this picture, we have an oval-shaped eyeball, and it's divided into 3 parts. The top part of the eyeball, it looks like there's actually a band, a strip going across the center of the eyeball. And there's 3 black lines that divide the eyeball in half vertically. And that long strip divides the eyeball in half horizontally. And the black slits, they look like they could be pupils. But what's cool about this eyeball is that they sit on top of stalks. And so the eyeballs can actually move independent of each other. It allows the eyeballs then to see in 3D also. This animal has stereoscopic vision, and it possesses a band of photoreceptors that can distinguish up to 3 different wavelengths. So people are able to see 3 different wavelengths of color. This particular animal can see 12 different wavelengths. There's so many different wavelengths we can't even imagine or process ourselves how this animal might see. If there was a prize for the most amazing eyesight, this animal would win the most complex and evolved eyeballs ever. So let's see what you are guessing here. I see lizard, butterflies, geckos, frogs. Those are all really good geckos. Squid is another really good guess. Let me tell you a little bit more about this animal, and I'll tell you what he looks like as well. This animal is beautiful and deadly. His eyeballs are on the top of his head, and they sit in big eye sockets, again on top of stalks. He lives in the water, and if you look at a picture of him, you will see he has claws that protrude out of his head, and also these appendages that point downwards. He is very colorful, turquoise, green, red, and yellow. are the different colors that he has. And somebody says a shrimp. You're getting very, very close here. They are categorized into two different categories. There's a smashing shrimp and a spearing shrimp. This is actually called a mantis shrimp. The smashing mantis shrimp uses its two front appendages to punch its opponents. The punch is so fast that it heats up the surrounding water, and it can heat it up to a boiling temperature. That's how fast he's able to punch. And he uses this as a strategy because as he's punching through the water and heating it up, it then will kill the prey that's around him. Each of his punch accelerates faster than a .22 caliber bullet. A spearing mantis shrimp, on the other hand, has sharp spears at the end of his appendages, and so he's able to poke and spear and even dismember some of his prey. Because of these deadly appendages, these animals can shatter glass. So, do you think they make good pets? Yes or no? Would you like to have one as a pet? No, and in fact, we can't keep them in aquariums. Because of their appendages, they actually can shatter glass. And so people cannot keep them in an aquarium. Pretty cool fish, or pretty cool shrimp, I should say. So here's another picture of him. He's just one of the prettiest shrimp I've ever seen. He has turquoise blue head, and again, his eyeballs sit on these stalks, and they kind of look like telescopes that stick out of his head. And you can see this one has spearing appendages that stick out about where his nose is, that is striped and spotted in colors of turquoise and green and red and yellow. And you're just able to see the head of him in this particular picture. So that's our last animal that we're gonna share with you today when we talk about different eyesight and different super animal senses. Let me stop sharing my screen here and let Johna take it away from here.
Hello, everyone. Well, we have some special friends today, and I'm going to start with Amaya. Amaya, you just learned about all different types of animals. If you can relate to one, which animal would you choose?
And Amaya's looking at the ceiling for the answers, I think.
Well, let's see. Would you choose the mole or maybe the owl? We didn't talk about the owl today, did we? The four-eyed fish, or what about the last one? Did you like the shrimp? Which one would you relate to?
I would probably choose either the four-eyed fish or the mantis shrimp.
Oh, okay. And what about you? Let's go to Mina.
I'd probably pick the dragonflies because I really like dragonflies for some odd reason. I think they're cool.
Okay, Brennan. Are you there, Brennan? Well, I don't know. I think Brennan is not with us at the moment. So oh, there you are, Brennan. Hello, Brennan. Tell us what animal you would relate to that you've already been learning about.
Well, recently I actually did watch a nature documentary, and on that nature documentary, they were talking about the, it's a kind of snake. I'm not too clear on what it was called. I don't remember, but it was like super poisonous. And I remember they said it had like big eyes on the side of his head, and so it could hunt prey. And it had like the snake tongue that flicked out to like smell, because you know how snakes use their tongues to smell. So I made a little tiny snake fang thing and the big eyes.
Very nice. So now, friends, the audience, I'm going to ask you if you would type in on the chat, which animal would you relate to? What was your favorite animal so far that we learned about?
And we are able to take people who raise their hands if you like, Johna.
Oh, that would be great.
So you have George who has raised his hand.
Okay, George, talk to us, George. Let's see what you have to say.
You've never done it before, you can try holding down your space bar. Many computers work that way.
I like the bat because it's cool.
Did you say the bat, George? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Very nice. I think the bat's really cool myself. Thank you for sharing, George.
Clara? Try holding the space bar down. There you go.
Oh, can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay. I really thought that the bat was really, really cool.
I agree with you. I agree. I think the bat was really cool. Great answer.
Okay, and the next person is, I'm taking a guess. Is it Shay? S-C-H-E-I?
My name is Lila.
Actually,
Lila.
Lila, yeah.
Go ahead, Lila.
My favorite animal was probably the four-eyed fish.
Yes, that four-eyed fish was definitely interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Okay, Miss Princess?
Wait. No, you can go.
My favorite is the dragonfly because if I have a cookie jar, they can't sneak up on it because I run really fast.
That is so fun. I love that answer. I have a
Raritan, R-A-R-I-T-A-N. I'm taking a good guess on that one. Try holding down your space bar. There you go. Speak. We'll be able to hear you.
Can we hear me?
Yes, but your speakers are too close, which makes it difficult. If you can turn them off, good.
Okay, can you hear?
That's okay. I've disabled your talk. You're going to have to figure out how to get your speakers off so that it doesn't echo like that. What you're doing is you're ending up hearing yourself in your speakers. So do you have time for one more, Johna?
I actually have a few more questions.
Okay, so I'm going to lower the hands and go on with your next one.
Okay, so the next question is, if you were to choose an animal now, any animal, with animal eyes, having any animal's eyes, which one would you choose and why?
Tell me how many hands you'll take.
I will probably take about 5 hands. How about that?
Okay. Israel.
I would like to be a fox because foxes are my favorite animal in the whole entire world.
That's a good one. I love foxes too. Very good answer.
Okay, Nadia.
Because of the long trunk.
Well, say it again.
I want to be an elephant because of the long trunk.
Oh, okay, that's great. Yes, and they have wonderful, beautiful eyes, don't they?
And Finn?
I choose the lion because I think the lion is one of the most dangerous predators and they have great eyesight.
Very nice.
And it wasn't Shay. I can't remember who Shay is. Shay was Lila?
Go ahead, Lila. You're unmuted.
So
It's Lila.
it's Lila, and I think if I were to choose, I would be a lion too, because one, they're my favorite animal, and two, they are really dangerous and they can't be messed with. I've researched lions.
Very cool. Okay, do you have another question, Johna?
I do, but before I do, I'm going to share one of my favorites. If I were to choose, I would choose eagle. And the reason why, all birds of prey have excellent long distance vision, but eagles really stand out. They can see clearly about 8 times as far as humans can, allowing them to spot and focus on a rabbit or another animal at a distance for about 2 miles. So I know if I wanted to eat, I would have to rely on my eyes, and the eagles by far have really great vision. So now for the next question for you, and the last question is, if you were to choose an animal that you would want to have super senses, it doesn't matter about eyes, if you can choose any animal in the world, which animal would you choose? And I know a lot of you said your favorite is a fox, but think about other animals. Think about any animal in the world. Think about your survival if you had to eat. Think about those things. And think about, maybe you like to fly. Maybe you just want to be a bird and fly. So friends, start answering that for me.
Israel.
I would want to be a frog because I can swim underwater and I can breathe underwater and I can communicate with other frogs.
Excellent answer.
Vaibhav, V-A-I-B-H-A-V.
I would like to be a hawk.
Why?
Because hawks, I want like some animal that flies. And they have good eyesight.
Ah, thank you. Jax.
Hi.
Hi.
I would be a great white shark because they have great senses and I can breathe underwater.
Clara?
So, if I could choose any animal in the world, I would be a dog because I could hear really well, and I could do lots of tricks like chase my tail or try to eat it like my dog does.
Raritan, you want to try one more time?
Can you hear us now?
Nope, not yet. Nice try though. Emmanuel?
Say it again.
Cheetah.
Why?
Because I could run fast.
Nice. Rose? Try holding the space bar down, Rose. There you go.
Is it my turn to go?
It is your turn.
Alrighty. I would choose to be a dog.
How come?
Because I think dogs can like bark and I would want to bark at people whenever I'm scared.
Okay.
And I would want to, and the reason I would want to be a dog or have a dog's bark, because like if I barked when something I didn't like I would bark when people are playing rap music, because that's scary and bad words, and I'm scared of rap music. I would like bark and it would scare the people away so they could stop. And that's why I would want to bark so that they would stop doing like stuff that I don't like.
Nice, Rose. Thank you. Andrew?
This will be our last comment, and then we have one last activity.
Unmute.
Okay, Andrew, we can hear you.
I would want to be like just a regular human with the eyesight of a mantis shrimp,
a sense of a dog, and gills so I can breathe underwater. And eyelids that don't and goggle like the eyes of an alligator. Or, a beaver, because they can see underwater without having to close their eyes and without having to wear goggles.
True. Okay. Cheryl?
Amazing features. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Parissa, tell us what our activity is for the day.
Okay, I've been reading all the responses in the chat window, and I love how engaged everyone is, and all of your answers are fun to read. One of the things that we wanted you to do was to make your own eyeballs, and they could be out of any materials that you have around the house, and you can base them off things that you've learned, or you can make up special powers that the eyes have. So Amaya, Mina, and Brennan have already made their eyeballs. So we're going to take a second, and I'm going to ask each of them to share about their eyes that they have made and tell us about them. Amaya, would you like to go first?
Me and Mom were just cutting out these eyes.
So we just took a piece of paper and folded it in half, took a pair of scissors, and we just cut in a circle. The reason we folded it in half is so we would get two that are exactly the same. And so that's what Amaya did. There we go, two that are exactly the same. And then she colored them.
Yes. And I did the pupil in the very middle.
And what color is your iris?
And my iris is green.
Okay, perfect. So that's a very simple eyeball made out of paper.
That was a beautiful eyeball, Maya. Now, for those of you who make eyeballs, we're going to ask you to make eyeballs and ears and teeth as the week goes on. So keep all of your parts. All right, Mina, your turn. Can you please tell us about the eyes that you made?
Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I read Braille, and I have something called a Braille writer. So all I did was I stuck oh, darn it, I dropped my phone. All I did was I stuck a piece of paper in the Braille writer, and I made eyes using Braille dots. So I also made ears and a mouth. So if I hold my phone here, you can see that right here, where my finger is, I have an eye, and what I did is I made it, and in the center of the eyeball, it's like a oval shape. In the center, I made like a little crescent, and that's kind of like where your eye opens, where your lashes are. And then on the inside, I put a little dot, and that's the pupil.
Very good, Mina. Thank you. All right, so both Mina and Amaya used paper to make their eyes, and Mina also used Braille. All right, last person, Brennan. Can you please share with us the eye that you made?
Well, unlike Mina and Amaya, I'm not very artsy. So I took a piece of paper and I ripped it in half and I formed it into an eye-shaped kind of thing, sort of, a little bit, to make it represent the eye of a snake. Because
okay.
The guys that they used to like see stuff because they don't have ears, so I can make ears.
That's okay. Thank you, Brennan. So Brennan took a piece of paper and he smushed it up and made it into a ball or an eye shape, and it's supposed to be a snake eye. So now I want you guys to take some time and think about your eyeballs, and you can make them out of anything that you want. All right, Cheryl, back to you.
I will tell you that I've had 3 more photos come in that want to share. And if you did not share your release to be able to share your picture, I need you to either confirm in the email that I have your permission, or you can send me that release form to share. But thank you for the pictures, and I think we're going to have more tomorrow.
That's wonderful. So you can make your eyeballs out of paper, pipe cleaners, paper plates, clay, Play-Doh, bubble wrap, tinfoil, plastic wrap, anything that you have. We also have an extension activity to make an edible eyeball. And although the edible eyeball may not last forever, it might be able to last you at least until Friday. If you don't eat it first, because it's made out of some pretty yummy treats. But in any case, you can use the marshmallow eyeballs that you make, or you can make your own eyeballs. Whatever you make, keep them with you and bring them tomorrow. We'd love to see what you come up with. Also, tomorrow we're going to be talking about teeth. So if you could have a cup of water and a toothbrush. It's going to sound a little weird. And an egg and some vinegar. We're going to talk about brushing your teeth and about different animals and their teeth and how they brush their teeth. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. If you have a chance to do the extension activity, we would love to see your eyes. We would also love to see your eyes from your activity today. And tomorrow, think about those pearly white teeth. And we'll see you then. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye for now.